Good evening, I'm Kathy Lewis. As more of what we know about our world moves online, library professionals were trying to figure out, quite frankly, how to remain relevant. But now they're trying to figure out how to keep up with the crowds. It's a huge question they're asking all across the country. And Lisa Godley reports that here in Hampton Roads, at least one library is on the move, literally.
Construction of a light rail system that will wind through the streets of downtown Norfolk permanently closed the doors of the 50-year-old Kern Memorial Library. But it did not stop library lovers like Sonny English from finding their way to the new location, just a few yards away on Plume Street.
The library is sort of like a second home sometimes. I can come here and relax. Plus, I have a large library at home, too. But I can come here, relax, and just, forget about things. If a lot of pressure is coming on me or whatever, I can just sit back and just relax and enjoy getting lost in a book.
For now, English and hundreds of others will have to do all of their reading online in the basement of the new building, because this area, which houses 60 public access computers, is the only section of the new main library that's open. The director of the Norfolk Library, Norm Moss, says you can expect the rest of the building to be open to the public within the next 30 to 45 days.
I think it's going to operate well as a temporary main library. Then within the next 18 to 24 months, I think you'll see us break ground for a new addition or a new main library, which is going to be built right next to this building. And it's going to be called actually the Colonel Slover Main Library.
This building will be demolished to make way for the new addition. The two buildings will be connected by an atrium. The new complex will give library visitors about 108,000 square feet of space, compared to the 77,000 square feet that the Kern offered. About 60% of the library's collection, the part that doesn't circulate as often, has been moved along with administrative offices to the Services Center, which is located in the Norfolk Industrial Park. So if you need something from these closed stacks, you can request it and get it in 1 to 3 days. Meanwhile, work continues on the new building, preparing it for visitors who can't wait. In fact, while so many people are watching their foot traffic drop, the library has seen a 30% jump in the number of visitors. Moss says some of that growth is because of the more than 400 public access computers at Norfolk's 11 branches, as well as the new kids zones, which are interactive centers that help children get ready to read and write.
We're busier than we've ever been. People are looking for something free to do and something readily available, and that's us. So our usage is up even more.
And Moss feels that the tide rolling through will only make things better.
One of the best features of this is light rail is going to stop right across the street. So when you get off of light rail, you're going to be able to walk right into your new main library. So certainly light rail is going to help us a lot.
For What Matters, I'm Lisa Godley.
And joining us tonight to talk about the future of libraries is Sonal Rastogi, who is the Assistant Director for Public Services for the Norfolk Public Library. Marcy Sims joins us as well, and she directs the Virginia Beach Public Library. Olivia Ose-Sarfo is the Library Manager at the Dr. Clarence Cuffey Library in Chesapeake. And Isabella Chashansky is the Director of Newport News Public Libraries and Information Services. Thanks to all of you for being with us tonight. I just feel like we should talk softer, just because you're all here. But that's sort of old information, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's kind of an old way of thinking about libraries, which if you haven't been in a library in a while, boy, you've got a kind of a treat in store for you. One of the things I couldn't help noticing in the report that Lisa brought us was that there were an awful lot of people, even in that cramped, tiny space, in that temporary space down there, at those 60 public access computers. What do you make of that?
It's actually a wonderful, beautiful building, and the technology center in the basement is a great, nice place for people to congregate and do their.
But the numbers of people in the picture, I mean, it's getting a lot of use.
Yes, we are getting a lot of foot traffic all over our buildings, not just at the main.
I think he said 30% increase, something like that. Are you noticing a lot in Marcy Sims in Virginia Beach?
Absolutely. Our circulation, the number of books that are checked out and other materials is up close to 29%.
Wow.
And our visits are up about 25%. So that means the people who are actually coming into the library. But another major statistic is the number of people who are accessing library services online. That's up almost like 40%.
Right. So you can go online and access Virginia Beach Library, and I'm guessing all the libraries in the area. And what could I do if I were online?
You could check our catalog.
Okay.
You could place a
could
hold
I
on
hold
a book.
Yep.
Place a hold. You could check your personal record to see if you owe fines or what number you are on a reserve list when you might expect the book to come up. And we hope that you'll be able to register online soon and pay fines online, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
You can also do research from home. You can access all the online databases that the libraries have.
Absolutely, yes.
Wow. And we found that actually our highest usage of our online databases is from the remote access user, not from the user in the library necessarily.
In Chesapeake, you can register and get your library card online and place reserves after you register for your library card.
Now, you're noticing a lot of increase at one of your branches,
well,
right?
it's all of them as we talk throughout the system when we discuss.
But one especially.
Yes.
Well, there's one branch especially that you're noticing a pretty dramatic increase.
That's Indian River, because Kentsville Library in Virginia Beach is closed for remodeling, and it's all the libraries in cities are sort of geographical, very close to each other. I could say within maybe, I would say no more than maybe 7 to 8 mile radius between cities in the Tidewater area. I know I get a lot of people from Norfolk. I'm over in the Campus Stella Square area, and I get a lot of people from Norfolk who go live over in Berkeley and that end of town over at the Clarence Coffee Library.
So it kind of begs the question, does it make sense for us to have a regional library system where if this is the case and we're looking at all these people living closely together and you're under construction in Kempsville, so they're coming over here to Chesapeake anyway. Does it make sense?
What actually we have done in Norfolk is, as everyone knows, last year we built this beautiful state-of-the-art anchor branch, which actually serves the one quadrant of Norfolk City, and of course with the building of Norfolk, Maine and New Maine, that would be serving the other quadrants. So our goal in Norfolk is to actually build these regional beautiful state-of-the-art branches to serve that quadrant of the population
within
the city. However, with our neighboring cities, there's always that opportunity to mingle, and we do that in several ways.
And this is something I think a lot of people don't realize, is that if you live in one city, you can still check books out of a neighboring city's library, right?
That's correct.
That's
we've had reciprocal borrowing privileges for many, many years. But as the economy gets tighter and the city leaders are more conscious of exactly how much taxpayers are paying, I think there's a lot of pressure on the libraries to institute fees for residents who are not residents of that particular community.
Which returns me to the question that has to do with, I mean, forgive me, I know that might mean that you've got 4 library folks sitting here, so I don't want anybody to be out of a job here, but it is a question to ask about whether it's perhaps an opportunity to look at a regional library system.
I think it's not unreasonable to look at it. I think there are probably some barriers or some challenges in making that happen. You have to look at how are you going to provide for a level funding source. If you look at how much Virginia Beach might provide per capita, how much Newport News might provide per capita, how are you going to provide a level funding source and level service to a multi-jurisdictional library system? And I think that can be one of the most challenging parts of it.
Yeah.
And the other thing, looking at the socioeconomic backgrounds, a lot of our patrons actually walk up to their neighboring libraries.
So really that is the only library they would be using.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so the idea of actually having a regional in that sense would not work for our communities, for our citizens and patrons from that socioeconomic background.
So when I walk into a library today, and I think, you know, if you haven't been in a library since you were a kid or maybe a student or something like that, you might be a different experience. You know, we started the show off talking about you have to be quiet in a library, and it seems to me now that libraries are more friendly places, if I may say that, if I may be so bold as to say that.
We look at them as destination gathering places, community. I guess the buzzword now in library is the third place, and that's sort of.
Boy, do we need that.
Yes.
I mean, we really.
Whether it's someone coming to get on a computer, coming to take a class at the library, attending a program, filling out a resume, or just coming for a quiet place to sit and read.
And you're seeing now the Clarence Cuffey Library in Chesapeake, which has some pretty dramatic, as many of the libraries do in the area, but technology opportunities for people that I think a lot of people may not be aware of.
Yes, our computer lab, it's built to be an instructional lab. When you walk in our lab, we have 2 plasma screen TVs and an instructor station. So when we conduct computer classes, the students can actually see what's going on. We have a conference room that has a smart board as well as video conferencing. And this day and age, video conference is very important, especially to people looking for jobs and companies, because now they don't have to fly people all across the country. They can interview someone via video conference.
And here's the interesting thing about all of those services that you've just mentioned is that the truth of the matter is in the community, you can find places to do some of these things, but they will cost you and you will have to pay for it. The thing about the library as a gathering place, which is so interesting, is that that is something that we support with our taxpayer dollars. It really is the only place that people can come for free. And I love the story of that gentleman in Lisa's report who said, I just come to relax and get lost in a book. And that's a marvelous way to get lost.
Since we have actually we went from having 5 to 10 computers at all our branches to having about 30 at all our small branches that average about 5,500 square feet in size. And then Pretlow, of course, has a total of 90 computers, and the Norfolk, Maine, as you saw, has 60. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity for people right now in this downturn of economy to really access a myriad of resources on the computer and look for employment opportunities, build their resumes and what have you. So I really think with that and having our kids zones in place, that truly has become libraries truly have become a destination for our communities and our citizens.
I think one of the most important roles that libraries are playing now also is that we're the safe place that kids can come to after school. They can, at our Pearl Bailey Library, they've developed a chill spot where the kids can come, they can relax, they can play some games. We're getting some laptop computers that will be available for the kids to use so that they can do maybe some MySpace, or they can learn how to do something on YouTube, but at the same time they can also learn how to use the computer better so that they can fulfill some of their school assignments.
So how will you deal with, because I can see where this is going, you know, the economic downturn is what it is, people will have a harder time affording child care and they'll have to be working even harder and all the rest of it. Do you have a concern, and how do you manage the situation where people may just feel like, well, I can't have child care anymore, so I'm going to drop my child off at the library?
Well,
that's been happening for a while.
This is nothing. That's nothing new. I've been in libraries quite a few years, and if you're next to a school, that's where the child comes and wait for the parent, especially if they're out of district. Over where I am, at the Cuffey Library, it is a community of kids where
Yours
kids.
is actually on the second floor of the community center, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So between the library and the community center, the kids walk to the library, and our philosophy is there that we provide structure for the kids, not reading a book. Since we have that technology, we found several things out that we were listing library programs on the on pamphlets as well as on the main webpage, but the kids weren't reading. So we have a MySpace page, the Coffee Library. One week we decided we decided we were going to teach the kids how to use the database. So we had homework session, database training.
Everybody was thrilled about that.
Right. No one showed up. So
lined up out the door for that.
So I had a staff member. What she did was she created a virtual scavenger hunt online that the kids use to learn how to use library materials and database.
So it's a lot of creativity.
Right, and that's sort of the approach that we have done with technology, even with adults. We this week we're doing digital storytelling and podcasting, and we're looking at wikis.
And these are things when you all went to library school. None of the audience talked about any of this in library school, did you?
The neat thing is our Lego robotics team, because the kids learn to program, and we've also partnership with Norfolk State's modeling simulation program, where they brought the graduate students in, and the kids learn to make their own games online. So we know it's sort of the back way of getting kids to use the computers and learning how to use the database and library materials while having fun.
That's a great point.
The after-school initiative, and we have actually at one of our branches we have done gaming is a big hit at our Larchmont branch, and that's the whole after-school initiative approach that we are trying to take.
That's
with the teens and tweens.
Yeah, we do gaming. We have a game program once a month. In fact, there was a National Game Day across the country promoted by ALA, and we were fortunate to have the president of ALA to come and attend our gaming day, and he had a ball.
I'll bet. And so the library is just a changing place, certainly for kids, but also for adults. I mean, you've had your cafe running for a number of years there, which sort of replicates in some respect, I think, what people were looking for when they go to bookstores.
Absolutely. Yeah. We use the bookstore model in a number of ways. Also the marketplace, the way that bookstores retail their merchandise is cover out, comfortable seating, coffee smells in the air, a good book, a good cup of coffee, and it all fits together. But yeah, it's doing very well, and the marketplace also has really been another factor for increased circulation. We discovered that as we put books face out, display them as staff picks or under topics, that they are flying off the shelves. Our circulation at Central just in 1 week increased about 50%.
Just from doing that?
Just from doing, well, it could be other factors, but that was certainly
And what seems very clear in all of this is a piece of it is the marketing, and a piece of it is the gaming and getting kids where they live and all the rest of it. A piece of it, though, has to be this economy. And the fact that people, Norman Moss said, people are looking for something for free.
Yep. They're looking for not having to rent a DVD, not having to pay for internet access at home.
And you're seeing people who are actually dropping their internet access.
We have actually seen people who have dropped their internet access. And one of the other primary things are people are looking for jobs. At all of our branch libraries, we have what are called SNAP centers, which is part of the SHARE network, workforce development in Virginia. And there we can help them with resume writing, with job hunting, with completing job applications. There are tutorials that they can get that really do help them find the employment that they're looking for.
And you were saying as well that a lot of these employment, the VEC offices and what have you, are closing, and so these folks really don't have, and so they're sending people to the libraries and saying, go there and fill it all out.
And it's sort of interesting because if you're filing for an application with VEC, it can be challenging, and so part of what our staff has had to do is to learn themselves, how do you complete a VEC application, how do you do some of this job hunting, and a lot of localities themselves are also going to online application forms for job hunting.
And so it sounds like in a very real sense of these words, these libraries really are becoming community centers. I mean, that really is what we're talking about here. The nerve center, places not just for people to gather, but for people to to conduct the business that they have to.
Right.
Well,
I mean, we
Olivia-
have gone into a partnership with AARP, and and that partnership actually is going to very nicely formulate with our very first program for seniors as a civic engagement and gathering place. And our first program is going to be on February 18th on President Lincoln and the enactment.
And so what are they going to be doing?
And the idea is for all the seniors to come together, and we are also trying to open the online community forum for all seniors, and actually not all seniors, of all ages and people within the AARP and Norfolk Public Library partnership.
Olivia had talked before about the library is the third place. Yes. I mean, you have work, you have home, you have the library, you have school, you have home, you have the library. And some of it is also just the social networking that people need to do. Right. Just the fact that you can come in, have a book discussion, and you can talk with someone that you don't normally talk with. You can come in maybe and listen and hear a concert. You have that interaction with other people that I think sometimes as technology takes a preponderant role in our lives, we step back from that interaction with other people. And libraries are a safe place to have that happen, where you can still have that interaction in a non-threatening environment.
And I think that's an important role that the library plays. People say, will the internet make libraries obsolete? But I think the idea of library as a community builder will always be there. The place where you can go, bring your family, bring your children, meet with people of similar interests, have discussions, those kinds of, the great good place is what.
And the idea where nobody has to pay an admission fee.
Right. Exactly.
You know, I think that really, when we talk about a culture where we're noticing more and more this divide, this economic divide that does seem to be very much a part of our culture now, libraries are a place where you don't,
where you bring everybody
together.
Another partnership that Chesapeake is looking at is with TCC. They're going to come in and train all our reference staff how to help patrons who want to take classes, because there are a lot of people going back to school to be retrained, how to fill out the financial aid form, as well as how to fill out the Tidewater Community College.
And I think you all are actually sharing with TCC and Virginia Beach a new library, right?
Yes, we are. We have under design as we speak a 120,000 square foot library that will be on the TCC Virginia Beach campus, and it will be a combination of a public library as well as an academic library, serving faculty and students of TCC and other colleges, but also the general community as well.
Do you see much difference anymore between the, well, I mean, I'm sure there's still a difference, but do you see any closure in that gap between, say, an academic library and a public library?
I think we're all serving the same customers, quite frankly. Certainly, as you get up into the higher level degrees, there are specialized materials that you'll find at academic libraries that you wouldn't typically find in a public library. But with electronic databases, we subscribe to a lot of the same kinds of things that Old Dominion or Tidewater Community College would as well.
So the take-home message in our last couple of seconds remaining is, if you haven't been to a library lately, you should probably go. It's changed since probably you were there, if you have old memories of that. And the other thing is that they're by no means done changing. It sounds like to me, particularly given this economic downturn, that libraries are going to continue to not only be relevant, but really to thrive in an era that's going to be very challenging for us, and will force us all to kind of dig deep and find out what we're made of and how we need to change some things along the way. And I suspect that you'll all have even more missions before you, and the challenge, of course, is even less money to do them with, but that's when you get creative and come up with different ideas. So thanks to all of you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
And I'll be back in just a moment with a final thought. this will come as no surprise to our guests tonight, but Fran Silverman wrote in the New York Times that when the new Darien, Connecticut library opened, hundreds of people lined up to get inside. And why not? At the Darien Library, you can read books while you're sipping coffee in their cafe. The books are organized by subject instead of that pesky Dewey Decimal System. You can lounge in overstuffed chairs. You can work on your wireless computer. You can print out a proposal in the library's Small Business Center. Wow, talk about a relevant citizen investment for the new millennium. The Darien Library, like many here in Hampton Roads, has something that coffee shops and computers haven't usurped yet. You see, while you can research on Google and buy books online, it turns out that virtual gathering doesn't always do it for us. We humans still like to gather in person now and again, and libraries are a great place to do that. So, far from being quiet places, libraries are fast becoming places to start talking. That's it for us for this edition of What Matters. Here's a look at what's coming up. Next week, we'll check in with our editorial roundtable for its take on the news. And then the following week, we'll have a look at the latest in the transfer of Fort Monroe from the Army to the Commonwealth of Virginia. Later, a look at a new innovative program at Granby High School that's helping teens lose weight and get in shape. And apparently, it didn't come out of the phys ed department. It actually came from an art teacher. We have some great shows in the works, and we'll be glad to send you an e-bit to let you know what's coming up. Just sign up at our website, which is whatmatters.tv. You can also visit us on Facebook. We're not on the MySpace, but we are on Facebook. Email is also a great way to stay in touch, too, at whatmatters@whro.org. You can also write to us, of course, at 5200 Hampton Boulevard, Norfolk, Virginia, 23508, or always call us at 889-9425. Any way you choose, we're always glad to hear from you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time for another look at What Matters.